This is a rock. This is an egg. A rock. A glass. If you've ever seen what a rock can do, you would never stand in its way. Wathinta bafazi, wathinta imbokodo. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. That alone shows how strong and valuable we women are. So why do we tend to believe that we are this weak link? This Friday at 3 p.m., the answer awaits. We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are women to women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. Good afternoon to all our audience from many places in the world. As you know, we are still celebrating Women's Month in South Africa. This is our third week. And normally we have one special show once in a while, but this month you are privileged. I am privileged. We are privileged that we have 4 special shows for you. And again, we are here celebrating Women's Day, celebrating Women's Month, and we have prepared a recollection of great achievements by women in our society that we wanted to share with you. Let us watch, let us celebrate their lives, and let us look our lives through those achievements.
This is the message to appreciate all the women out there, and above them all to appreciate the one who gave that to me, my mom. You've always been a friend to me. You've always been so kind, so loving, and you've taught me a lot. Above everything that has happened in life, you've taught me to never give up, to hold on to life, and to love life.
If you have ever looked down on yourself and said, I am just a woman, we are about to prove to you that it is because you're a woman that you are strong, not weak. Tererai Train taught herself how to read at a young age. When in her Zimbabwean village, young girls couldn't attend due to poverty and being married off. Eventually, when she did get to school, she was married off at the age of 11. By the age of 18, she had 3 children and an abusive husband. She wrote down her dreams, put them in a tin, and hid them under a rock. Tererai went on to live out her dreams. She moved to the United States, remarried, obtained various degrees, and her greatest dream of all, to obtain a PhD. Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng grew up believing that she was not good enough. She grew up believing that she was not smart enough. Mamokgethi went on to become the first Black woman in South Africa to earn her PhD in mathematics education in 2002. She was bestowed with South Africa's highest honor, the Order of the Baobab in Silver, by the President for her excellent contribution in the field of science and research. She is a full professor and Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Internationalization at the University of Cape Town. Maya Angelou was assaulted by her mother's boyfriend at the age of 7, who was then killed by her uncles as revenge. The incident traumatized Maya so much that she became a mute for 6 years. Despite the trauma, she became a poet, a singer, and civil rights activist. Her award-winning memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, made literary history. It was the first non-fiction bestseller by an African-American woman. In 2011, Time magazine ranked it as one of the most influential books of modern times. Helen Keller was afflicted at the age of 19 months with an illness that left her deaf and blind. But this did not stop her. She was widely honored throughout the world and invited to the White House by every U.S. president, from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon B. Johnson. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from Nigeria made history by becoming the first African and the first woman to become the Director General of the World Trade Organization. Marie Curie became the first person to claim Nobel honors twice for her discovery of polonium and radium. Jonka Tabei became the first woman to summit Mount Everest in 1975. In 1992, she became the first woman to stand atop 7 summits. Gracia Machel, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Oprah Winfrey, J.K. Rowling. The list has no end, because whether known or unknown, women from across the world and across history are making a difference and changing the world as we know it. And the most profound part is, they were and are all just women.
And we congratulate you again, women of South Africa, women from every country in the world. Today, we are going to exalt the attributes, the value of women. When we discussed about how this holiday came to exist, we spoke one sentence: Watinta Bafasi, Watinta Mbokodo. When you strike a woman, you strike a rock. We are brave,
kind.
We are hardworking.
We are empathetic. We are supportive.
We are the columns of the family.
We are strong.
We are compassionate.
We are loving. We are also resilient.
And we are very, very daring.
We are courageous.
We are independent.
We are inspirational. We are honest.
And we are strong, as our promo always sends you this message. However, I don't think so for all of us. And that is our topic of today. Why? Being so beautiful, so strong, with all the qualifications and characteristics that we just now praised, women in general, there is a few of them out there who sees themselves as the weak link. Why a woman despises all the strength and attributes that were given by God, that are developed in us by other women that somehow impact our lives. This woman sees herself as the weak link.
She is very emotional. We see this today whereby women are very emotional, led by how they feel. Instead of being rational, and most of the time we find this comparison between men and women that they are more rational. But with all these beautiful attributes that we just mentioned now, a split second of something going wrong or something not taking place the way she thought makes her forget of everything, and she's just emotional, and she sees the bad side of everything or things that she is not worthy. So that is one of the things that destroys her, because she is too emotional at times.
She's also a people's pleaser. She likes to please everyone. Normally, the women consider too much how people will look at her. When we have to go somewhere, normally, the woman, if she's going to meet especially other women, then she needs to make sure she will be well dressed, because what they are going to think of me, how they are going to rate me if I don't dress properly. So they are too much into other people's opinion.
And as well, when a woman compares herself to other women, she will never see her strength. She will never see how strong she is, because reality is there will always be another woman who is more successful, who has more than what she has. But once she starts comparing what she has and who she is with somebody who is maybe more experienced or has more, obviously that will make her feel as though she is less than. So one thing that makes women to feel like the weakest link, it's because they always compare themselves with other women who have lived longer, who had more opportunities than them. They don't look at what they have, they don't look at what they have achieved so far. They always compare it to what other women have, and that will always make them feel like they don't add up to those women. They'll always feel like they are less than. They will always be people's pleasers because they feel like I have to do more so that I can reach that. Instead of looking at what they have and at what they achieved and what she achieved, they look at what other people have. And that will always make her feel as though she's not enough. She's the weakest link.
I think also when she is insecure, that also makes her feel that she's a weak link, because when a woman is insecure, it makes her prone to making wrong decisions, because those decisions are coming from a place where she wants to cover that insecurity that she might have. It's not always apparent. Like in her mind, she doesn't think I'm choosing this particular thing because I'm insecure, but because she feels insecure, she makes decisions that are all about projecting that she's not what she's really feeling inside. And that creates a problem, because the more she makes wrong decisions, and when a mess happens, it reinforces that insecurity inside of her. And that continually makes her think that she's a weak link.
And I think it's something she doesn't realize.
No.
It's the silent killer, and it's making her weak. I also think that low self-esteem is one of the reasons that cause a woman to be to see herself as the weak link. When she you spoke about comparing, but also when she needs people's opinion, people's approval, people to determine who she is, people to coach her, because of that low self-esteem, is when she becomes a weak link. God has created us to influence positively other people. And of course, we influence each other in daily basis. But a woman who sees herself as a weak link, and maybe you are watching us, and until now you didn't see yourself as a weak link, you know there is something wrong, but you didn't have the wording for that. It's someone who is easily influenced in a negative way by others. And because she has the low self-esteem, the comparison, she's people's pleaser, she is insecure, she has low self-esteem, as I said, she ends up absorbing like a sponge everything that people say to her. Why? Because it's that battle of trying to fit in, of being a match to others, and seeing herself she doesn't have condition. And that's why then she becomes a weak link.
I also thought of how she also likes competing, because even in a group setting with friends, with her peers, her insecurity now moves from her being insecure to naturally competing. She might not even realize it at first, but then it's almost rating herself compared to others. So she has the better clothes, she has the better car, she has the better house. And they end up making, because of that competition, she finds herself getting into debt or getting into commitments that at the end of the day have nothing to do with her. And she finds herself at the end of the day exhausted, worn out, tired, because she's just doing everything to compete, also trying to camouflage all the other emotions that we spoke about that make her a weak link. So nowadays we see it a lot on social media, we see it in workforce, in every sector of society, that competition amongst women.
You spoke that she has the best car, the best clothes, the best position, but she doesn't see herself as the best.
I think as well, when a woman is not defined in who she is, she will always be influenced by external forces that are not good for her. So when a woman doesn't know who she is and where she stands in life, in her family, she will always compare herself with others, and she will try to be like them. So now there is no one influencing because everyone is the same. When a woman is defined and she knows that this is who I am and this is what I stand for, this is what I know, and this is who I am, she will know that I am going to influence because I'm good in this area. But a lot of women, they look at others, and when she looks at others, she sees what they are doing and she tries to copy them. And when she tries to copy other women, then there is no influence. No one is influencing because everyone is the same. But when a woman is defined, she understands that I'm different from other women. I might not be the same, but I can influence in this area. And she is content with that. She's not competing with others. She's not trying to be better than others. So a lot of women, they are not defined. They don't know the definition of what a woman is. They try to compete with other women. They try to compete even with men. So that will make them very much not to be able to influence even those who are around their circle, even their children, even their families, because they are not defined.
What we would say on how to be defined? Who would like to give some ideas?
I think she will know what she stands for. She doesn't necessarily jump into anything without first evaluating the costs of things, the outcome of things. How is it going to affect other people around her? Because when you're not defined, even with good opportunities, things that are supposed to be good and great, but when you're not defined, you can actually grab things that it's premature and it ends up causing a mess. So for me, when she's defined, she calculates everything around her and sees whether it will be beneficial or actually not beneficial. And she's brave enough to also let go of things that won't be actually good for her.
I'd also say when a woman is defined, she knows her strengths, but she also knows areas that are still a challenge for her. And that doesn't embarrass her. She's able to accept those challenges, not to say, oh, this is who I am, this is how I will always be, but to know that my strengths are in these kind of areas I excel in. This is an area that I still need to work on. And she's okay working on those areas to improve herself. So there's no competition or judging others, those who do well where she's challenged. She learns from them, and it's okay to ask for help, because another area where women can see them, they can become a weak link or see themselves as a weak link, is that sometimes they, as supportive as they are to other women, when it comes to them, they don't ask for help and they want to carry a heavy load all the time without asking for help, trying to be everything to everyone, not necessarily knowing, if they're not defined, not knowing that this is too much for me. And then they take on too much, which when it doesn't work out, it reinforces all those negative things that make them see themselves as a weak link. So for me, a woman who's defined, she knows her strengths, she knows her challenges, and she is not embarrassed to seek help to make those challenges to become strengths.
Another thing that it came to me now, when she doesn't ask for help, generally is because she thinks that she's going to show weaknesses, not understanding that asking for help is what really show her strength, show her desire to grow, show her the desire, show the others the desire to better themselves. So she is afraid to look like weak. And as a matter of fact, that is where the weak link comes from.
And in this line, I was thinking, the women, they look to themselves as a weak link because of the disappointments and things that didn't work in their lives. And instead, they are strong when things doesn't work, but they don't give up. So, but they can't see that. They are too much attached to the negative side. I tried this, it doesn't work, so I'm weak. What can I do? So, but the weak link is there when you give up. But when you are able to have challenge, when you are able to see your weaknesses and work on it, when you are able to just say, this didn't work, but I can try again, there you are not being the weak link.
And I think as well, a lot of other people, they know our weaknesses. They know that this woman is weak in this area, but she doesn't want to ask for help, as we spoke, because she feels like by showing her weakness, then other people will take advantage of her. But I think one thing we need to understand is that there are people who already know that this is not her strong point. But if I am not humble enough to come and ask for help, they will not also offer help. And in that way, I'm not learning anything. By pretending that I know everything, it's not going to help, because at the end of the day, I won't be learning anything. So by asking for help and asking to be helped in certain areas, in areas where I know that I am not as strong. Let me work on this. Let me ask for help. Let me go to somebody who knows how to deal with this. Then in that way, I am learning and I'm becoming a better woman. I might be a weak link in that area, but with time, learning and growing, I will become a strong link in that area because I was not proud to ask for help. I was humble enough to say, listen, I don't know this. Can you show me? Can you help me? And in that way, my knowledge is growing. I'm growing as well in wisdom, and I'll be able to teach others as well.
It's interesting how to be the weak link and to know who you are and to be defined is interrelating. When you think about someone who's defined, for me, I would say is someone that knows her values. And she would put a stop or a dead end when her values are not met. That's someone defined. When you clearly say, and that I've learned alone life, being a weakling, being people's pleaser, that I had value myself. So from a moment that I made that introspection and the change, I had clearly what I could accept and what I would not accept. So they were my personal values. And that helped me to become from the weak link, emotional, people's pleaser, and full of complexes, low self-esteem, to become the woman that I am today. Work in progress, but the woman that I am today. I am not ready to compromise my values. I know the kind of friends that I want. And if that friend is not of that certain profile, I prefer not to have that friend.
You touched on something very important, which is the circle of friends, because women by nature, I believe, were drawn to be together with each other. It's rare to find a woman that just wants to be on her own. But in any setting, women naturally gravitate towards each other. But nowadays, the people that they are attracted to are more negative people. Because I'm thinking of values. How many times do we hear people saying, I'm in a friendship, but I am used in this friendship, or my emotions are not being considered?
Toxic friendship.
It's toxic. But I'm thinking, in order for that person to have access and that toxicity to be part of your life, it's because you're allowing it. And that's something that women really need to sit down nowadays and ask themselves, the circle that I'm in. Because I think there's one thing that I read that one person said, her mother said to her, if you want to see who you are, look at the 5 closest people around you, and that's who you are. And she even said, when I stopped and I looked at the circle that I had and those people, it was people that were partying, people that were selfish, people that were rude. And in order for her now to succeed and move on to the next step of her life, she had to change that circle. And that's something that we see that women fear so much, because there has to be value in your friendships, because whether we like it or not, what your friends say, what they do, how they make comments on the things that you're doing, it does affect women. And
it's the influence, the negative influence we spoke about.
It's that negative influence that we see a lot of them giving up on their dreams, giving up on conquests that they would like to attain or do. Maybe you want to move to a foreign country and you hear your friends saying, oh, but how are you going to fit in there like you? Oh, I never thought of that. We see it even in shops sometimes, where a girl is there with her friends and she's trying out something. And the friends are the ones that say, no, it's nice, but it's not you. She knows
or
it's her.
otherwise, what I've seen, not only to be honest and say, it's not for your body type. The friends intentionally say, oh, it looks great on you, just to make you to be exposed, to be ridiculous, to be a laughstocking of others. And because she doesn't know her value in her, how to stand her ground, and she needs to please people, she will end up wearing what she doesn't like, what is not proper, what does not match to her as a woman of God. She will be so frustrated because she will have the looks and people criticizing, pointing fingers, and that makes her to be even closer in her own reality. This is one step to depression, isn't that?
Yes, and I think as well, many women they feed off social media. We have Gen Y, Gen X, and Gen Z. These are like Gen Z. These are generations that we are living in right now. The Gen Ys, they are a little bit older, like between 50 and 70. Gen X, it's the millennials, which are between their 30s and 40s. Then we have Gen Z or Gen Z. In South Africa, we say it's Z. These are the ones who were born in the times of social media. So the millennials were born when social media was still starting, because I remember when I was born, there was no social media, but as I was growing up, social media was there. But then this last generation, Gen Z, they were born in social media. And because the value of being a woman was lost from their parents, the parents didn't pass it down to them. This is what it means to be a woman. So they go to social media to find out what is it to be a woman.
Google it.
They Google it, and what they find is always in the external. How you wear, you have to wear soft colors, you have to wear pink, you have to wear makeup every day to show that you're a woman, you have to speak in a soft
You
voice,
have to be feminine.
you have to be feminine, you have to be this mysterious woman. All of these things are all external values. They're things that people see. But what about inside? And a lot of them, they don't have standards, because their standards are according to what social media is saying. This is what a standard of a woman should be. If you want to be feminine, if you want to be influential, if you want to be impactful as a woman, this is what you have to be. But unfortunately, when you Google it, there are like 10 pages, more than 10 pages. Everybody says a woman, they give a definition of what a woman is according to their own perspective, according to their own perceptions. So now, because the value of women was lost and the definition was lost a long time ago, now they don't know what to take. So they take everything, and now their standards are up and down. And when we say, okay, look at the Proverbs 31 woman, we spoke about her in the old school marriage. They say, no, she's old school. Who can be like that? No, I can't be like the Proverbs 31 woman. We say, okay, let your standards be according to the standards of God. No, they say, no, that is too difficult. It's too hard for me. But they always take standards from social media. They always take what social media gives them. And as I said, it's a lot of opinions. But we say, take the Bible, take the word of God, and find your standards in there, find your principles in there. They say, no, it's too hard. I prefer to find it from someone who has lived as long as me. Maybe she's 20 years old. I'm going to take advice from a 20-year-old, because she has more followers and she has more people listening to her. She has more comments on her Instagram. So it means that she knows what she's saying. But they don't stop to think, does she really know, or is it just research as well? She's still trying to find out what a woman is. So they never stop to think, what are my standards? What are my principles? What are my values? What am I willing to accept? And what am I not willing to accept?
And that makes them the weak link, because they are not, or this woman is not who she's meant to be. She is a makeup, a copycat, or she's trying hard to be like someone else. We forgot in the beginning to say we are unique, because God created us unique. And when we try to be like everyone else, and now there is a funny treatment, cosmetic treatment, I don't know if it has arrived in South Africa, is where you choose the features of your a celebrity that you like, or you wanted to look like your husband or to look like a friend. And before we would hear about fillers, but there is an acid that our body produces. However, they use it, a synthetic version. I wish if I could say the word, is hyaluronic acid. And they insert in their faces to change their feature, because they want to look like their favorite celebrity, or they want to look like the husband, like they are twins. When God has made us unique and we become this weak link without realizing when we wanted to be just like everyone else.
I'm thinking as you're talking of this, and it links so much to what Tammy said, because they look so much to be like. I'm thinking of, why would a woman want to look like her husband? Because she wants to probably portray that thing like we're so united. But when you have God and He's the foundation of your marriage, automatically you do start looking alike, not from the outside, but from the inside. Because when you walk into a room, when you speak, when you do something, people automatically see your husband in that. And it's not because it's him, but it's because who is leading him as well. If it's God and you're also founded on God, you don't need to do anything on the outside, but people naturally just see it because it's what's inside. And that's what makes her weak today. She is more concerned about her exterior than her interior as well.
And one thing that for me is top of the list, what makes a woman to be a weak link is when she is or she goes to the extent of trading her dignity just to please someone else. And we see that in every corner of the society. To sleep with the boss for a better position, to sleep with the guys in school just because otherwise you were bullied, but you don't like him. You don't like that. To lie for the sake of pleasing a friend, to steal, to accept bribe. Then she's trading her dignity, her character, for the sake of just being contemplated or accepted or approved for a short period of time, in opposition of being this strong woman we have been talking about.
And we have to ask ourselves, especially in school settings, why is it that boys will always compete for that one girl who has never slept with anyone, who knows herself, like she knows, and she's quiet, she's not a loud mouth, she's not all over the place, she's not too forward. And boys will come together and bet and say, whoever gets her will win this money. But then those ones who are loose, who are loud mouths, who are too forward, no one ever competes to get their attention. So we, like girls in school, they need to ask themselves that the one that stands out the most is the one that knows her values, is the one who is content in herself, who is defined, who says, I am not going to sleep with the boys. I don't want to fit in if it's going to compromise my dignity. If I'm going to lose my dignity, I'd rather not have friends. So when you start thinking about that, it's because a lot of young girls, they don't want to think. They just want to fit in. They just want to do so that they can be accepted. But they never stop to think, why am I doing this? Is this who I am? How is it going to affect me in the future? When they meet me 10 years from now, how are they going to say, what are they going to say about me? Will they say, oh, she's that girl who was loose at school? Or maybe will they come back and compliment and say, you know, how you handled yourself in school, you inspired me so much. So a lot of young girls, they don't want to stop and think, how is this going to affect my future? How is this going to affect my family? How is this going to affect my image? They just want to fit in because they don't want to be left out.
Now I would like to make a question, and I want you to think about it. How can a woman be a weak link in relationships, love relationships, and marriage?
I think it goes to the values that you were speaking about. Many times, because women are social beings, you know, as Precious said, we are always good in social settings.
That's why our program is always 5, 4, never 1 or 2.
So I think sometimes we have this idea that if I'm going to go to insecurity that we spoke about to link with values, if someone is insecure and they think having a man in their life is going to make them feel good about themselves, feel wanted, feel loved, feel special, if they don't have clear values, if they're not defined, as you're explaining how a woman who's defined is, then they are not going to say, this is the type of man that I want. One who respects me, one who fears God, one who respects himself,
Who's a provider.
who's a provider. What actually happened is that I need to be in a relationship, and the first Peter, Paul, who just happens to say, "Hi, you look pretty." Oh, I'm taken. It's a man. He's wearing pants. Great. I'm taking him. Without looking at what is he bringing to the table, how is he treating his own family, does he respect me, not taking that time to get to know him, already falling deep in with this man, and doing things that should not be done just because you were just waiting for this moment to have a man in your life. So I think that makes a woman a weak link when it comes to relationships, from a point of her being insecure and her not being a defined woman, because she would just accept anything.
In marriage, I was thinking here, when the woman, she doesn't know her role, she becomes the weak link because she wants to play the role of the husband. When Pressure was saying, and Miss Marsha, that to change the features, to look like your husband, I can imagine it. The husband arrive home and find a cop of him. I don't think he would like
No,
that.
worse would be if also he wants to look like the wife.
Yeah, that would be
A
so much
disaster.
worse. So when she wants to play as a wife the same role of a husband, she becomes a weak link because the husband doesn't need another husband. The husband needs a wife. So she needs to know her role and the difference between, because women, they think I'm strong, not in the terms of physical strength to carry things. We know we have a different type of strength, but then they want to compete and they want to do the same thing that the husband does. They want to rule the house the same way. And then they become weak because we were not designed for that, and it becomes too much. And that weakness, it comes to the depression, as we said, because the person tries, she can even push for a while, but then she will not make it, because as women, God designed us with different qualities, with different gifts. And in this way, if she doesn't recognize her gifts, everyone has defects. But instead of focus just on what we don't have, we should focus on what we have, the strength we have. And in this way, if the woman plays the role of a husband, she's a weak link in this marriage.
I could say then that a woman is a weak link when she doesn't understand the role that God has given her, the purpose of her creation, and the strength that God has given her from inside out. Not understanding where she's coming from and how God has conceived her to be. She will attend to all this that we discussed. She will try to create a persona that is not her. She will be people's pleaser, but is still low self-esteem, insecurity will rule her life. Maybe you just spot that you have been a weak link. You are pushing your life to conquer, to work, to have a career. Who knows, you're going to be the first one in your family to hold a diploma. You are the first one to stay in a city, to have a car. You were the first one to get married and still be married, but you have been a weak link. How to regain the strength that God has given to us as women? That is what we are going to speak about just after the break. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Mabaseka, and the woman I'd like to thank this Women's Month is my mother, Miriam Mati Mbotlaling. One of the advices that she gave me is that I should always do the right thing. Even if I'm made fun of, even if I'm called stupid, I should always do what is right. So in varsity and in high school, I was always made fun of because I didn't do what my peers were doing. But through my mom's advice, it helped me to pass my matric very well and to graduate in varsity.
Foolish heart, looks like we hear a king. Same old game of plastic smile, don't let anybody in. Hiding my heartache, will this this glass house break? How much will they take before I'm empty? Do I let it show? Does anybody know? But you see the real me, hiding in my skin, walking from within, unveil me completely. I'm losing my grasp. There's no need to mask my fealty, 'cause you see the real me. Ain't it on? Life is behind a mask. Self-inflicted circles cloud. I'm tired of the song dance, leaving a charade, always on parade. What a mess I've made of my existence, but you love me even now. Still I see somehow, but you see the real me, hiding in my skin, broken from within, unveil me completely. I'm losing my grasp. There's no need to mask my fealty, 'cause you see the real me. Wonderful, beautiful is what you see when you look at me. You've turned in the direct fabric of my life into a perfect tapestry. I just wanna believe, 'cause you see the real me, hiding in my skin, broken from within, unveil me completely. I'm losing my grasp. There's no need to mask my fealty, 'cause you see the real me.
Welcome back. During the break, we were still discussing about this. Maybe you were alone, you didn't have anyone to talk to, and you realized you have been the weak link. But the good news is that you are not going to remain as that, because we women, we are everything great that God has made us to be. How do you regain that strength? How can you really become a rock? First of all, you need to know yourself. And maybe we caught you by surprise. You thought you knew, but you saw yourself as a weak link. What are your values? What you want in life? What can you accept? What you cannot accept? Why you nurtured this low self-esteem? What happened in the past that gave you this complex of inferiority? You can go to professionals, you can talk to us, but the introspection, only you can make it. Only you can pinpoint where it all started. Maybe it was a word of a friend. Why have you been influenced so negatively? But why you have been keeping that friendship in first place? So who are you? If you had to define yourself truthfully, honestly, with some adjectives, write them down and see if they reflect who you are. That is the starting point. And the second part of it is who you want to be. What would be the best version of yourself? Which areas you need to improve? What you want to achieve? What you want to conquer? What kind of wife? What kind of mother? What kind of servant and daughter of God you wanted to be? Maybe these characteristics you wrote of who you are today, they don't pair with whom you want to be. So now you identified where you need to start the change. And that change needs to be without outward influence. God has made you to be an influencer for Him, an influencer of His kingdom, and not necessarily to receive the negative influences that you have been embracing from friends, from social network, opinion of others. You can't see yourself through your own eyes. You need to see yourself through the eyes of your friends, through the eyes of your husband, through the eyes of your parents. You don't know what you want. Now is the time to change. Because if you want to be a rock, if you want to display the strength of God, that is what you need to do. I'm going to read for you one passage that maybe you know by heart. And you are going to say, but that was Joshua, a man. God does not give his promises selecting genders. These are for the women, those are for the men. God has said in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, like this: Have I not commanded you? Be strong and be of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. God has created us naturally to be strong, to be courageous. As we said in the beginning, we are strong, we are courageous, not always. But when we embrace the promise of God, we become the woman that He has meant us to be, is strong and courageous, and knowing that irrespective of people's opinion, of their ideas about our life, who influences us is God alone. And because we are willing only to have and to allow His influence in our lives, wherever we go, He's going to be with us. That's why we say, after making that change, you can celebrate with us. We are strong.
We are resilient.
We are kind.
We are independent.
We are daring.
And we are daughters of God. For you to be a daughter of God who's no weak link, we are going to pray for you right now. Tammy, would you please?
My Lord and my Father, I thank you for this wonderful month that we have here in South Africa, Women's Month, where we get to celebrate women, where we get to celebrate being women. But so many women have lost their identity. They have lost their definition. They are competing. They have low self-confidence. They are not empathetic. They are not strong. They are not defined. They are not rocks, my Lord. I ask you that you may help each and every woman, no matter the age, whoever is watching right now. I know there are women right now who are so confused because of all the ideologies that are out there. They don't know what it is to be a real woman. I pray for them right now that they may be defined in you, that they may find their value in you, because you created us and you didn't make a mistake. Help us, my Lord, as women, as Christian women, to be influential, for your name, to point people to you. I ask you that you may fix those who are broken, and right now they don't know who they are. They are trying to find themselves, but it is to no avail, because the harder they try to know themselves, the more it seems like they are getting lost. So I pray right now that you may give them a new identity, a new definition. May they find themselves, my God, in you. May they know who they are. May they know the strength that they have in you and not try to be strong on their own. I ask you that those women that feel like they are the weakest link, may you make them the strongest link in their families, in their homes, in their marriages, in their workplace. When they know their position, when they know their role in you, then, my Lord, they will become strong links. They will become influential. They will become courageous. They will become the woman that they know that they were created to be. I ask you that you may make this to be clearly defined in their minds, for them to know who they really are, and for them to pinpoint where they need to work, where they need to fix, because you have already given us the strength. You have already given us how to fix that through the show. I pray for each and every one of them. May we have strong women. May we have strong, resilient women who are rocks, who are unmovable, who are unshakable, who are independent, and whose faith is in you and in you alone. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Become strong now through the power of God, through the influence of God, through the purpose of God in your life. We celebrate you, women of God. Next week is our last special show for the month of August in South Africa, Women's Month. And of course, we are going to explore something that is somehow related to today's topic, but we are going to go into depth. We are going to speak about anchor relationships. Who hasn't been in one of any sort, of any kind? Next week, we are going to unveil, to reveal all those anchor relationships. Until there, God bless you all. Bye-bye.
We all know that one person who was guaranteed for greatness. Everything about them made them special. They had that thing. They were destined for the stars. But they didn't make it. Maybe the sound of the fears, doubts, and failures of those around them started to ring louder than the sound of sacrifice, risk, and victory. Want to know more? This Friday at 3 p.m.